So getting back to the specifics of this play, um, and how the one thing I wanted to say in comparison to the first one is I think that this one versus Nothing Like Us Ever Was has more uses more of the facets of human drama, whereas that one was more comedic and used the music to sort of set the scenes and sort of give a mood off of it. It was a much moodier musical, whereas this one uh, puts a lot of the musical contents in real confines, and you don't have as much of the meta narrative as you did in the first one.
Yeah, and this the third musical that I do will, in a sense, I think, be more realistic. I think this play, in a sense, is more emotionally realistic than the first play, the
Mm-hmm.
first musical. And the third one, because of this coronavirus stuff, I was originally thinking that I was gonna, after I finished these Arthurian plays, I was gonna do a book. I was gonna do either the science fiction novel idea that I have called Levels, or I was gonna do the final Maravelli family saga, which would be called The Grand and the Glorious. But I've got a lot of ideas for maybe plays with the coronavirus. I might do the final musical. Maybe I'll do another Tetramal. I still got two of the four left to do. I still have my cat play about Oscar and Kiwi, who recently died 4 months ago, a little 4.5 months ago now. How time goes quickly. Or I have ideas for plays, some that have been sitting around since I started writing plays back in 2017 when I worked as a janitor, custodian, and yet now I would radically re-engineer them to be deeper and better because the the plays that I've done, the last 15, 20 plays, as great as the first 10 or 12, 15 plays that I did were, I'm so far beyond that. And those plays were beyond any plays written to that point by anyone that I've ever read. But you have to keep throwing logs into the fire. And so, with the next musical I do, it's going to be about corporate America and my work years, and I'll be set in the O's and you know last decade, this past decade, the teens, and just really gonna probably somehow, I don't know exactly, but really get into attacking the system we have because I'm just basically fed up with so much of life. I'm fed up with the company I currently work for, although it's not the worst job ever. It's before we were recording, I was telling you about this kid who I'm supposed to be training to replace me, and he doesn't do crap. And then other jobs where I've been treated like garbage, either like some place at AT&T where they wanted me to commit crimes, or another job that I lost a few years ago where they were committing crimes and I reported them. And I'm just so sick and tired of that. So and then the whole Corona thing. I have ideas. Originally, I was going to do a play about this guy who worked at the store that I currently work at, but he left right before the lockdowns started in the middle of March, and now I'm sort of like, okay, well, what can I do to make things interesting? And I've just been taking notes about things. New people have been hired anyway, but I, you just have to keep evolving. So the novels probably, once things maybe get back to normal later this year or early next year, then maybe I'll think of doing one of these big novels or whatnot. Also, too, in the odd chance I was to catch this coronavirus and drop dead from it or die from it, I wouldn't. It would be easier if I only know I have 3 or 4 days to go to finish up a shorter play than a big novel. So.
Okay. The Well, I hope you don't get it. Did you want to elaborate on any of your ideas, the coronavirus? What do you think of this whole failure of human society? What do you think of, and how does it affect you in your country on your day to
Well,
day?
I mean, for example, like now we have to have our temperatures taken by this. this handheld thermometer at work before we can start our shifts. If we're over 99.6, if we're a degree above the human normal, they won't let us work. So like the first few days, I've been like 95 or 97 degrees. So, but you know, I think I'll make it through that. It's just I'm more concerned with the scheduling here because they're just throwing more trucks at me. And like I said, this kid I'm supposed to be training doesn't give a shit. And it's like, I just want to be able to work. Literally, I just want to be able to work 8 hours a day, a fairly fixed schedule. I'll do whatever needs to be done then. But I'm 55 years old. I'm out working. This kid I'm training is 30 years old. He's younger. He's a little shorter, but he's heavier than me, but more muscular. And it's like he should be able. These people should be able to blow. But no one wants to do anything. People. I mean, it's. Oh, I don't want to get into it now. But now it's been, like I said, 4 or 5 months since I finished the last musical. How exactly do I end the musical again? I remember how I ended the first one, but this one ends how, with what song? Or
The last song is either the Yardbirds or lyric pieces.
oh yeah,
And I thought that was an interesting way to end. It also ends with the epigraph from Jeffers to the rock that will be the cornerstone of the house. They mingle down
yeah.
the storm-worn cracks among the mosses, interpenetrating the silent wing prints of ancient weathers long at peace, and the older scars of primal fire, and the stone endurance that is waiting millions of years.
Yeah, and and Megan Morrow will appear in some other plays. I don't know how or why, but she'll probably be, a few more cameo appearances, and then maybe 20 or 30 plays from now she'll have another bigger role. She's a good, useful character because she's not real in my life. There's a disjunction between Danny Wagner and Dan Schneider, and her character, as although we don't know, I think their quote unquote relationship as sexual partners is only 2 or 3 months, so that fits in with my pre-marriage range of the longest women that I was involved with women. But she's a good, useful character, and so she'll
I
appear
will
again.
say there's a disjunct too. Thomas and I were talking about whether or not Danny Wagner is a sympathetic character because he is. He has I think he has an even larger ego than you do, and he because he talks about how this is long before I was a great poet, much less the master of literature that I am now. And then Megan says the exact same thing after in an alternate scene,
Hmm.
and I think that you actually are, despite your ego, are actually a much more sympathetic and warm person than Danny Wagner. I remember watching your cat video, for instance, to Oscar and Kiwi, and that was a difficult and very emotional watch. And I remember you at the time too. I find you a much more sympathetic figure in real life than Danny Wagner in this fictive universe,
Well,
just because he seems to be slicker tongued and irascible in anything that happens to him, whereas you obviously come down when things happen to you. When you have to deal with things, you can feel the human element more so than with Danny Wagner.
Well, I mean, it's the old Woody Allen thing and his characters from the '70s, especially when he was appearing in his movies. With me, like Jessica doesn't get that when she's always saying she doesn't like the Danny Wagner character, or that the Danny Wagner character is always put up as a hero. It's like, no, she doesn't even read my fucking plays, so she doesn't even know. It's like, no, that Danny Wagner. I mean, he's not as dark a character as Manny Cole, which is another version of me, but he's not posited as some. We see there's a few plays where Danny has done some things that are not particularly good. He's used some people and who used him first, or vice versa. But I think he's a very interesting character. If he was too if he was presented as too good a person, it would be a bit duller of a character. So you can't have that. So
Mhm.
all right,
Well,
so
let's talk about the two
yeah,
Camelot plays.
yeah.
Maybe
Hold
you want
on.
to say
Let me end this here because we're at 35 minutes.